Well, if I look back to the really beginning, the early days, I'd spent 10 years competing in World Rally Championship, eventually won the World Championship in 1981, and with a young family decided that the life of traveling the world month after month doing different rallies was not the way I wanted to sort of bring up my family. So it was more a case of, settling down and starting to think about, what we really wanted to achieve in the long term than sort of any specific moment in time that said, now we're starting it today. We'd had a long talk about it, my wife and myself, and so we settled back down here near Oxford, and then of course moved to Banbury where we are today. It's a natural progression to establish Prodrive then. Establishing any new enterprise, let alone a sort of motor racing team, is not going to be easy. I suppose one of the earliest challenges was finding the money to get things going, to attract the best talent, and then build the operation from there. But it's, I suppose in those days we worked 24/7 and just made it happen. When we first started, we were only 14 people, and we started actually at Silverstone, which is not very far from here. It was a very small team of people, and some of them are still here today, which is rather rewarding for me and hopefully for them as well. When people look at Prodrive today, most people think of motor racing. They think we're just a motor racing team. Perhaps people have seen us in rallying with the old Subaru days. They've seen us with Aston Martin in sports car racing. But what they don't realise is that behind the organisation here, we have a wide range of activities. We've got a composites company in Milton Keynes now, so one of the leading automotive composite companies in the UK. A marketing organisation, Brand And, which not only supplies our clothing for our teams or other motor racing teams, but now football clubs and the Olympics and World Cup rugby. And then we've got our engineering group, the Advanced Technology Group, which undertakes all sorts of interesting projects, from automotive to aerospace to marine as well. So we still, of course, have the roots in motor racing, the culture in motor racing, and that's as strong as it ever was. But as you can see, there are lots of other spin-offs that we've built up over the years. When you set up a business, you do set out with goals and ambitions, and you know roughly where you're going to. But sometimes things take turns in a different way, and organizations have a life of their own, and you should allow that, in my view. We've allowed freedom for some of our engineers to develop special projects of their own, and the composites business is a good example. We had a demand for composites in our own motor racing operation, and we realized that we could grow that quite well, and I seem to remember there were half a dozen people working it to start with, and now there are probably about 160, 170 people in Milton Keynes, and doing a wide cross-section of activities. The engineering side's slightly different, because in the early days, I can remember there was a pivotal moment when I was about 40 years of age, and I was being pulled from pillar to post. I had a race event to go to. We had a car dealership in those days, BMW car dealership. I was expected there for an event over the weekend. There was a rally on somewhere, and I just realized I couldn't cope with that level of activity. And we got in the car, took the kids, and off we went skiing for the weekend. It was Easter. And I realized at that time that if I was to retain the best talent in our organization, people we nurtured straight from university through our racing operations, you get to 35 years of age and you think, do I really want to spend the rest of my life at a racetrack? And the wife's telling you she's got to be home, you've got young kids at home. And so we thought the engineering side of the business would be a very good opportunity to retain that talent, direct it in interesting other ventures, complementary to the mainstream part of the business. And so that's how it evolved. That's very much the ethos of that business today, and retain the talent, let it grow and develop in interesting, unique ways. People always ask me, why is Prodrive so different? And maybe we are different, but we're very, we don't see boundaries. Most motor racing teams and organizations similar to ourselves are very focused on one activity. We tend to look at opportunities and treat them as just that, just opportunities, and diversify when they come along. We're not sort of rigidly saying we're just a rally team. If we'd just been a rally team when Subaru stopped, we'd have been in problems. And what happened? We continued to grow. So that idea that we are diverse and we look at opportunities as they come along has served us very well. I think another aspect of the business that differentiates ourselves from perhaps many others in the motor racing industry is our commitment to developing talent from an early stage. We often take people straight from university or after a postgraduate program that they might be on. We're very close to Cranfield University, for instance, do a lot of work with them. They tend to get thrown at the deep end. They're just straight into it, and they always amaze me. They always come to me and they come out on top usually. That's the great thing about it. But they come to me and say, I just never believed I'd walk out of university, walk into such an incredible job here and be given this responsibility. I was given extraordinary responsibility when I was 23 years old. That served me very well. I came out of it very well. I think that's very much part of our DNA, that we do, we support young talent, we nurture young talent, and inevitably though, and it's a truism that they tend to get 10 years down the line, maybe a little bit less, and they say, you know what, I'd like to try a Formula One team because it's there, I've got to try it once in my life. And so I do often an exit interview with them, and sort of they're expecting me to be sort of very tough on them and perhaps reprimanding sort of thing, persuade them to stay, but I don't. I wish them well, congratulate them on the opportunity, and say we'll welcome you back in 5 years' time when you got a bit bored of working on the left front wheel of a Formula One car for 5 years. And it's served us very well. I can walk up and down the pit lane of a Formula One race now, and there won't be a single garage where people won't walk out and come and have a chat with me. People always look for a singular answer when they sort of think, what is it that makes this different and makes a company like Prodrive so successful? There's no one answer to that. The blasé way of saying it might be, it's about the people here, but that is true. It's about the diversity of the people, the commitment of everybody in the organization, and the single-minded approach we have to just doing things as well as we can. And we're all different, and we all bring something different to the party. It's like putting together a football team. We're not all going to score the goals, and we're not all going to be the goalkeeper either. So we tend to work on an organization that we try and find people that complement each other, work very well together, and that's what, if anyone asks me what's the singular best thing I'm most proud of in the organization, is that camaraderie, that collective goal that we're successful, we want to be successful, and we won't accept second best. If I look back over 40 years and think to myself, what are those pivotal moments? What are those things that made the difference? I could probably think of one almost every year, and certainly one every decade. There have been wins at World Championship, seeing Colin McRae win the World Rally Championship in a Subaru. Others will say it was crossing the line first with a GT Aston Martin. Others will think of technical things that we've done in terms of perhaps the ventilator we did during lockdown. There are so many different things that we can be proud of here, and each one of them contributes to that success in their own small way. The first thing you've got to understand is I'm not an engineer. I started off life as sort of an accountant, not a particularly good accountant, but I was an accountant. But I think the main thing that I bring to the party, I'm a people person. I like people. I like working with people. I think I can get the best out of people. And for me, that's the most enjoyable part of the business, and the bit where I feel I contribute the most. And it's you've ever seen that circus act where the guy spins the plates and he's got about 10 plates all spinning, there's always one about to fall off, and then you're rushing towards it? That's me. And I'm never there when it's spinning well and working well. Don't need me. I'm there trying to catch the plate that's about to fall off. Innovation is not something something magicked out of thin air. Innovation is it has to be inbuilt into the culture of an organization. It has to be applauded, for people look for innovative ideas at everything they look at. So many times I've seen people come in here from a large organization where innovation has been sort of knocked out of them. They're not stimulated. Here, we applaud innovation. We look for them pushing the boundaries. We're not looking for people that sort of just do the conventional. We're looking for people that actually push the boundaries and push outside the box. You look at yourself every day of the week and you wake up and look in the mirror and think, what am I going to do today to make a difference on people? I don't think you consciously do anything individually. You don't do sort of a particular thing because it's going to give a reward or it's going to get a claim. You just be true to yourself and consistent about the way you approach everything you do in the business and the way you treat people and the way you behave towards others. I would always think that people would behave in a similar way that I would expect to be treated. I do think we're a caring organization as well. We're sort of, we look after each other, and that's key. People always ask me, they think, I get often asked, what's the most difficult year you've ever had? What's the most difficult project you've ever had? And we've been through difficult times. We've not always been sort of as successful as we are today, nor as stable financially as we are today. So I don't think I can cite any particular one individual achievement that sort of had such a massive impact on us. I always think that it's the thing around the corner that excites me most. What are we going to do next? And I hope that that's the same for everybody in the organization. I look back over 40 years and all that we've achieved, and most of it was without a conscious understanding of our environmental responsibilities. Maybe it's because I've got grandchildren now, I've suddenly realized that sort of I don't want them to look at me in years to come and say, my grandfather burnt all those fossil fuels and did all those things wrong, and I have to live with this world today. So one of our main things now I'm really passionate about is that we can use technology, use our expertise, use the creativity of the organization to really make a difference in the environmental world. If you think about what motor racing stands for, and you go back 50 years, we were pioneers in technology. We were breaking new ground. Cars that we have today, both in safety, in technology, in all sorts of areas, owe an awful lot to motor racing. And that same skill sets, those same skills are there today and can be very easily applied in areas that will see those similar benefits for generations to come. We've got to shift motor racing now to become a demonstration of positive environmental influence. And we as a company should be at the forefront of that. And in fact, we will be at the forefront of that. Motor racing is evolving year on year, and it always has done. But if I look back to the early days. The early days were innovative years. Motor racing allowed innovation. But in the last 20, 30, maybe even 40 years, motor racing has become a marketing platform. It's become very much television focused. And as a result, a lot of innovation has been stripped out of it, because if you want great motor racing, you want a great TV product, you want equal performance, and you want equal racing. That's going to have to change. If we want motor racing and the world that we have been brought up in to move forward, we have to be pioneers again. We have to look at the governing bodies to introduce regulatory systems that give advantage to pioneering technologies, that actually applaud pioneering technologies. And I see Prodrive being very much at the vanguard of that. We're already, I would say, one of the leaders in lightweight technologies. Our carbon composite business is one of the leaders in its field, so we're very adept at that. But we've got to look now at the ways in which engines are changing, in terms of, could we be looking at hydrogen for the future? we were already in sustainable fuels. We've been in sustainable fuels for 3-4 years now. So that's just, for us, that's old hat. We've got to move that forward. We've got to look at how hybrid systems will work more efficiently, what electric systems might be more appropriate for certain circumstances. We've got to look at the emissions in everything we do. There are a whole range of things, and I'm absolutely certain that the team here, the people looking at them today, are the people that will be creating those solutions for the future. It's funny, I'd never in my wildest dreams ever have imagined, when we sat round that kitchen table at Silverstone with 14 people, many of them who are still friends today, that we'd be sitting here 40 years later looking back at so much success and so much that we've achieved collectively. And I think that's the thing. We've achieved it together, and we'll keep going together, and we'll achieve a lot more.